Hey. Hi. Hi. I'm going to focus on two different questions at first that I thought were important for the sake of background. So these questions are from Richard B. 7726 and Lions Pride 9970. Richard B. asked, what was the personal process and experience of starting and shipping and getting your experience, costs, difficulties, etc.? And then Lions Pride 9970 asked, as a new applicant to MMP, how would you say is the best way to get jobs consistently? I feel like these kind of tie in together, so I'm going to address both of those right now. So I went to California Maritime Academy right after high school. It's like half college, half trade school if you go into a licensed track major, which means that you're projected to graduate with a unlimited third mate's license or unlimited third engineer's license, depending on which track you took. You also get a Bachelor of Science degree. From deck side, that is a Bachelor of Science degree in Marine Transportation, which is what I got. And you also get a unlimited third mate's license, which is unlimited tonnage, unlimited oceans, third mate's license, which is administered by the U.S. Coast Guard. So you get that after 4 years, and then you are spat out into the industry as a brand new mate 4 years after high school, which is a little bit terrifying, but you're trained well to be able to handle difficult situations. So regarding expenses and difficulties for that, for academy life, it's less money than a normal college, I would say, even out of state. I got student loans and I got scholarships, and the scholarships helped out a lot for the stuff that I didn't have to pay back. And then for the loans, after I graduated and started working, I was able to pay off all of my loans in 2 years. Once I graduated, it was pretty difficult to find work. There was kind of like two major people that were hiring, which was Military Sea Lift Command and some of the tanker companies. All the tanker kids could basically get jobs at the places where they cadet shipped. I did my cadet experience in the Gulf of Mexico on offshore supply vessels, and that's kind of what I fell in love with at first, because that was my first commercial experience, and there was a lot of ship handling involved, and so that's what I wanted to do when I graduated. I tried to get work down there for 2 months after graduating, and it just didn't work out because the oil field is pretty dry at that point in time. So after that crashed and burned, I joined the union, International Organization of Masters, Mates, and Pilots, and the very next day after joining, landed a 12-day relief job as a third mate on a container ship going up to Alaska. After that, came back. I was looking for work again right away, and got back on my birthday, actually, in July of that year, and that was 2015. And about 2 days after getting back from that job, I landed my first rotary job, which is a 120-day job with the union. And the dispatcher was like, holy shit, this never happens. Don't expect this to ever happen again. This is way lucky. But at the same time, at that point, I was just in the union hall all the time, getting there an hour early and staying at least an hour after job call helps a lot, because job calls are called at 11 o'clock in every time zone. So that's East Coast, West Coast, Hawaii. So if you get there early, you could potentially get an open job that went open on the East Coast, because no one is in the halls on the West Coast yet. And then if you stay later and you're on the West Coast like me, you could potentially get work from an open job coming from Hawaii, because no one's in the union halls on the West Coast again, because it's an hour after the job call on the West Coast. So There's a lot of factors involved with shipping out the union that you learn over time just by being present. I landed that first rotary job because I was in the union hall 2 hours after job call that day. And just got super lucky. The ship was going to the shipyard, so no one in Hawaii wanted it. It was called in Hawaii. It went open to the West Coast, and I was in the hall, and I'm sure not many other people were in the union halls on the West Coast at that time. If you want work, the key is to make sure to go to the hall every day and to stay at least a half an hour after job call, if not a full hour. Bring a book, plenty of reading time available there. There's so many times when there's an emergency where someone needs to get off the ship, or there's a medical where someone needs to get off the ship, or someone's quitting out of nowhere. There's so many factors involved with people getting on and off ships that the chances of you getting a job just by luck of the draw from you being there not during job call, it's probably 50-50 as an applicant, honestly. That's how I got most of my jobs as an applicant, just being in the union hall in the time surrounding job call. So yeah, it's a lot of waiting around, and sometimes it gets really fucking boring, and it's one of those things that you just have to bite the bullet for a while, years. It's not easy. It's really not easy at first, and I did a lot of traveling around the United States in my applicant days. I've gotten jobs out of Virginia, Oakland, California, Seattle, Washington. Yeah, I had a lot of really interesting experiences on different ships with a bunch of different companies, and that's how you get better. Regarding like starting out and costs involved with all of that, a great way, if you feel like you're not getting anywhere with a specific union hall, a great way to make money at a different union hall if you don't have anyone to stay with is by night mating. And you're going to be scraping by at first for sure. Stay in the cheapest place you possibly can, stay as close to the union hall as you possibly can, and take all of the night mate jobs you possibly can. And when a job comes up on the board that you can take, that you are qualified for, that you have the license for, don't hesitate to take it. Even if you're fucking terrified, do not hesitate to take it, because you gotta start somewhere. Even if you get rejected 10 times because someone else has a higher card than you, it's important to just get your card in there, because here's another thing. If someone gets the job that's ahead of you, and you know, the dispatcher starts going through all their paperwork and everyone else is left, you need to stick around, because that person might not have all their paperwork with them that day. And if they don't have all their paperwork with them that day, they'll get rejected, and then you'll be sitting there waiting to take that job. So make sure you also have all your paperwork in order. Which means your drug test needs to be done. I've done that before, where I got a job and didn't realize that I needed to re-up my drug test every 6 months, even if I had just gotten off a ship. And so I got rejected because of that. It was not great. Going back to that word consistently, the most consistency that you will see going to the union hall is you personally going to the union hall every day. That's your consistency. That needs to be your consistency. Other than that, getting work is fairly sporadic and depends on the season, because some people like to ship out during different seasons, so you might run into more traffic in the union halls different times of the year. A great way to ship out as an applicant also is to get into the halls just before the holidays, because a lot of people want to be off for the holidays, and they'll be trying to get people to relieve them. I've probably spent 50% of the holidays at home, maybe a little less than 50% of the holidays at home since I've started shipping out, which is, you know, again, biting the bullet for a while you kind of establish yourself. It's a little easier for someone like me who doesn't have to take care of anyone. A little difficult for people with families. And then actually maintaining your certifications throughout the years includes a lot of additional studies and recertification. Luckily, with this union, that is basically covered as long as you continue to work a certain number of days prior to you taking classes. That's all covered by the union, which is really great. And we all use my tags, which is the Maritime Institute of Technology and Graduate Studies, and most of the classes are provided on the East Coast, so that's a lot of flying to Baltimore, and being in that facility. Wow, how incredibly helpful that is, that's all covered as part of being a union member or a union applicant. That's pretty much it. The costs and difficulties, I suppose, gradually get easier, but also, relatively speaking, they get easier because you're used to the whole runaround. You get used to the whole runaround, at least 2 or 3 years, and then it'll start getting easier from there. So I'm just going to keep chipping away at these questions little by little, because it's easier to do them one by one or 2 by 2. Alright, see you on the next one.